Hey guys, John Paul here. I'm in my home office and I wanted to share a follow-up video showing a couple of example images of my flat scan, a light interpretation, and then a dark moody interpretation of the image I captured in my recent video where I posed the question, should we use or would you use a contrast filter while shooting film and exposing the image? And I was corrected in the comments that instead of saying a contrast filter, I should have said a colored filter. Poor choice of words perhaps, but I think it works just fine. At any rate, I want to show you here resulting images that I worked on briefly in a cross-platform. So I shot Ilford FP4 black and white 4x5" sheet film. I then scanned the film on my Imicon Hasselblad 646 virtual drum scanner and worked on these images to a small extent in Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud 2018. And I'd like to share with you the a couple resulting images that I felt fit some of the comments and ways that people may have approached this. And perhaps later in the comments we can talk about feelings on those. But this is a hybrid workflow that I was able to put together quickly to share this with you. I hope you enjoy the video. Let me know what you think and comment below. Thank you. Hey guys, John Paul here again. I am in my digital darkroom, and this is a follow-up video to my most recent video where I posed the question, while shooting this scene with black and white film, would you have used a contrast filter? And through a lot of great input and sharing and comments, which I appreciate, both on the video here, but also where I shared it on Facebook in the large format groups. And one of the things that was learned was I should not have used the phrase contrast filter. I should have used the phrase color filter. So I'm correcting that here. Looking back on it, I believe I would have tried and should try next time, perhaps a green filter to get a little more density, if you will. But what you're seeing here is the flat scan. I took my Ilford FP4 Plus 4x5" sheet of black and white film, which I developed in Pyro HD Developer using a semi-stand technique. I scanned this with my Imicon / Hasselblad 646 virtual drum scanner, and this is the neutral scan. And as you can see, as you saw in the video, very neutral, very little separation. I may have in my scan actually brought in either end of the highlight and shadow to maybe there's even a touch more contrast than I had, but this is the neutral starting point. And again, just to share with you guys, I am using obviously a cross-platform workflow here. So I shot film traditionally, developed the film traditionally, scanned the film. And I often do this, and one of the reasons I do it is because with my gallery work especially, I like to print large and vastly larger than I can do in a traditional wet darkroom with what I happen to have in my darkroom. I want to do 40x50s, 48x60s, that sort of thing, and larger. And this is a method that enables me to do it. But more importantly, as a follow-up to the video, I'm going to show you two renditions that I went through, and I kept in mind all of the great comments and input that I got from lots of people here on the video and also through social media, Facebook and what have you. So thank you for those comments, and let's move on to the first of the two images, which is this one here, which is, it's much less extreme than the other one I did. But as you can see, I'm not sure I love this image the way it is processed and developed here, but I kept it very simple. Now, to share with you, if I were to go to a traditional darkroom, and I'm not going to pretend that I am a master printer in the traditional darkroom, but I do keep traditional methods in mind, and I would have used split grade printing using two different contrast filters within the traditional darkroom to bring out contrast and separation. I am trying to do very simple methods within Photoshop in the non-traditional darkroom, but in essence, I'm using luminosity masks to do very simple, really dodging and burning and contrast control. This first image, I did a little bit of overall white and black point balance and setting, and then I believe I selected just the corn lilies and did a curves layer that was a contrast or a luminosity mask, and I did a little bit of a curve in there, bringing up the highlights and higher midtones and holding down the darker midtones and shadows to give a little more separation in there. Up top here, I believe I did a mask as well, and same thing. I brought down the mid-tone shadows with the goal of separating this main focal point aspen with all the bear scratchings on it from the background. So again, I would have done this in a traditional darkroom by simply dodging and burning, and I did use a dodge tool on this aspen tree here and simply dodged that tree and kept its highlight values higher so that it would stand out against the background. So really, honestly, keeping it very simple. Again, I don't necessarily love the outcome, and it's something I'll probably come back to and revisit. Now, the final image here that I'm going to share with you is much more drastic, and I think something closer to what a lot of people were voicing what they could envision, with a very dark, deep, rich scene with that one prominent aspen really jumping out. And I'll be honest with you, I think in each of the images, the thing that is feeling a little harsh to my eye is there seems to be a harshness, if you will, a sharpness in the contrast. And these, I did not sharpen these images at all, but and in order to make this video easier, I did downsize these and flatten them so that it would be easy to click between them. But I feel like it's a little too contrasty to my eye. And again, that's perhaps a little bit of the hastiness of my adjustments. And also, I would lean towards saying, again, in a traditional darkroom, I think maybe that there would be a little more smoothness between the tonal ranges, a little more richness, if you will. But again, I think if I put some time and effort in, I can create that feeling here in my digital darkroom without vast numbers of adjustments, but really starting over numerous times as I would in a traditional darkroom, and approaching it in a very subtle way and trying not to make strong separation and strong adjustments. So thank you very much once again for following along with me. I hope this is a helpful and enjoyable follow-up to the previous video that a lot of people really took part in commenting on. I would love further discussion. I'm not in love with any of these outcomes. I wanted to produce something that could further the conversation and perhaps exemplify whether or not I did need to use a color filter or not, and how perhaps a traditional darkroom versus the digital darkroom might weigh. But please take part. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up button. I'd love it if you would subscribe. And if you don't want to miss anything major going on with my photography and what I offer and what I share, go ahead in the helpful links below and subscribe to my newsletter. I do not send a lot of those out, but I do send things out through the newsletter that I either release there first or I don't send out anywhere else. And it's just a thank you for people following along. And in return, I do respect your privacy with it, and I respect your time so I don't bombard you with lots of stuff. But once again, like it, share it, please take part and comment, be part of the community, and I look forward to seeing you on here in the future. Get outside, enjoy the spring, happy shooting.